The hunting guild of Vrax Prime had never lost a trophy before. Not once in 3,000 cycles, not across 17 star systems. Not even that time when they tried to bag a crystallized methane worm on the ice moons of Sector 9. So when the council announced they were hauling in a human, well, let me tell you, every member of the guild showed up for the spectacle, standing room only, tentacles, claws, and appendages of questionable biology packed into the observation dome like we were about to witness the second coming of the Void Lords themselves. I was there too, of course. Junior Archivist Krell, 5th class recorder of hunts, keeper of trophies and general disappointment to my clutch Mars siblings. My job was to document the whole affair for posterity, though I suspected this would be less posterity and more comedy. Humans, after all, were supposed to be easy prey. Soft, squishy. No natural weapons worth mentioning. They came from a death world, sure, but so did the Glorthian swamp slugs, and we hunted those for fun during mating season. The human was brought into the preparation chamber in restraints. Energy cuffs around her wrists, dampening field active, the whole security protocol. Excessive, I thought. She was small by most species standards, maybe 6 foot nothing in your Earth measurements, with dark skin the color of charred timber and hair cropped close to her skull. Her eyes were the color of amber caught in sunlight, and they moved constantly, cataloging everything, everyone, every exit and entrance and weakness in the room. Huntmaster Velkar, all 8 feet of scaled arrogance, circled her slowly. His crest flared with barely contained glee. This was the moment he lived for. The speech. The dominance display. The theatrical cruelty that made lesser species tremble. "Human," he began, his voice resonating through the chamber like rolling thunder. "You have been selected for the honor of participating in the great hunt of Vrax Prime. Thousands of your kind have petitioned for this privilege. You should feel grateful." The human won Lieutenant Maya Cross, according to the manifest, didn't even blink. Just kept those amber eyes locked on Velkar like she was calculating the exact angle needed to tear out his throat. "You will be released into the hunting grounds," Velkar continued, gesturing toward the massive viewport that overlooked the arena below. 300 square kilometers of imported terrain. Jungles from Thalthefant, mountain ranges from the Cordian peaks. Swamps from, well, somewhere swampy. The guild spared no expense. You will be given a sporting chance, as is our tradition. Weapons, time, hope. That last word dripped with sarcasm thicker than Blorothian tree sap. Lieutenant Cross finally spoke. Her voice was calm, almost casual. "How sporting are we talking?" Velkar's laugh boomed through the chamber. Several guild members joined in. I didn't. Something about the way she asked that question, like she was negotiating a business transaction rather than begging for her life, made my sensory quills itch. "We are not monsters," Velkar said, which was objectively hilarious coming from a creature who literally ate his own young if they showed weakness. "You will be given 1 projectile weapon, primitive by our standards, 10 rounds of ammunition, and 1 bladed implement. Nothing more, nothing less. And you'll be hunting me with whatever we choose." Velkar leaned closer, his breath washing over her in hot, fetid waves. "Energy weapons, plasma rifles, seeker drones, atmospheric fighters. If the mood strikes us, there will be 12 of us, the finest hunters in the guild. We will give you a 4-hour head start. Then we will come for you. And when we find you, and we will find you, your remains will join our trophy collection. Your skull will sit beside the Thundercats of Proxima and the War Priests of Ganymede." "Sounds fair," Lieutenant Cross said. The chamber went silent. Even Velkar seemed taken aback by her response. "Fair?" he repeated. "Sure," she shrugged, or tried to within the restraints. "You get all your fancy toys, I get 10 bullets and a knife. 4-hour head start, yeah. Real fair. Real sporting. I can tell you guys are really confident in your abilities." The sarcasm was so thick you could have used it for hull plating. Several guild members bristled. Velkar's crest flattened, a sign of anger among his species. "Mock if you wish, human. Your terror will be all the sweeter when we run you down." "Oh, I'm not mocking," Lieutenant Cross said, And this time she smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile a black hole might give right before it swallowed your star system. I'm just making sure I understand the rules. Because where I come from, we take rules very seriously, especially in combat. Valkar straightened, his moment of dominance reasserted. The rules are simple. Survive. Evade. Hope. And when you inevitably fail, die with whatever dignity your species possesses. Got it. One more question though. What? When I win, do I get to keep your skulls? Because that one, she nodded toward Valkar's crest, would look fantastic over my fireplace. The chamber erupted, not in laughter, in rage. Clicking, hissing, roaring rage. How dare this soft-skinned prey animal suggest she might survive, let alone triumph? The audacity, the delusion, the sheer unmitigated arrogance. I found myself updating her survival estimate in my records. Originally I'd given her 4 hours, maybe 5 if she got lucky and found a good hiding spot. Now I was thinking 3, maybe less. Valkar didn't take insults well, and making an enemy of the Huntmaster before the hunt even began seemed like spectacularly bad strategy. They dragged her down to the equipment chamber after that. I followed, recording device active, documenting everything for the archives. Standard procedure. The guild took great pride in their records. Every hunt meticulously logged. Every kill commemorated. Every moment of terror preserved for future generations to study and admire. The equipment chamber was sparse. Stone walls, harsh lighting, a single table in the center with the promised weapon and blade. The gun was, and I'm not making this up, a revolver, an actual honest-to-the-void, spinning cylinder revolver like something out of your species' primitive history. Looked like it was built before faster-than-light travel, heavy metal construction, wooden grip, 6 chambers, simple mechanical action. Are you kidding me? I muttered, forgetting for a moment that my recording device would pick that up. The armorer, a 3-eyed Corthan with more scars than scales, shrugged his equivalent of shoulders. Huntmaster's choice. Said he wanted it to be period appropriate. Humans love their old projectile weapons. Apparently, makes them feel nostalgic or something. Lieutenant Cross was released from her restraints and approached the table. She picked up the revolver, examined it with the practiced ease of someone who knew their way around firearms, and nodded slowly. Colt Python, .357 Magnum, 6-inch barrel. She looked up at the armorer. Reproduction or original? Original. Pre-diaspora. Recovered from your homeworld's weapons museum 3 cycles ago. You stole a museum piece to hunt me with. Huntmaster thought it fitting. Lieutenant Cross actually laughed at that. Not the nervous laughter of someone facing imminent death. Real laughter. The kind that came from genuine amusement. She loaded 6 rounds into the cylinder, spun it professionally, and tucked the weapon into the waistband of her standard-issue jumpsuit. Then she picked up the knife. It was a Ka-Bar. Another museum piece. Probably 7-inch blade. Leather grip. The kind of knife your Marines carried in your ancient wars. She tested the edge against her thumb, nodded approvingly, and secured it to her belt. 4 rounds left. The armorer said, gesturing to the remaining ammunition on the table. You can carry them however you wish. She distributed them into various pockets, moving with the efficiency of someone who'd done this 1,000 times before. Then she stood there, fully equipped, and looked directly at me. You're the recorder? I nearly dropped my device. Yes. Junior Archivist Krell. I document the hunts. For the records. Good. Make sure you document everything. Every moment. Every detail. Because this is going to be one for the history books. I will. She smiled again. That same predatory smile. Tell me something, Junior Archivist Krell. How many humans has the guild hunted before? This is the first. Thought so. You know what your biggest mistake was? I shook my head, sensory quills quivering. You assumed we were prey. Before I could ask what she meant, the transport tubes activated. Lieutenant Maya Cross stepped into the glowing field without hesitation, without fear, without even a backwards glance. The light enveloped her, and then she was gone, transported down to the hunting grounds below. The armorer looked at me. I looked at the armorer. That one's different, he said quietly. Yeah, I agreed. I'm starting to think we made a terrible mistake. Velkar and his hunters will have her head mounted by nightfall. They always do, but he didn't sound convinced, and neither was I. The 4-hour grace period began. I made my way to the observation command center where the real show would happen. Wall-to-wall displays, satellite feeds, drone coverage, biometric sensors scattered throughout the terrain. The guild didn't just hunt, they broadcasted. Premium subscribers across 17 systems paid top credit to watch apex predators from countless worlds meet their ends in the arena below. Lieutenant Cross appeared on the screens, transported to the dense jungle section of the grounds. She landed in a crouch, weapon drawn, eyes already scanning for threats. The camera drones hung back, giving her space, following guild regulations about the grace period. No interference, no harassment, just observation. What happened next would have been comical if it wasn't so efficient. She didn't run, didn't panic, didn't waste time looking for shelter. Instead, she immediately began moving through the jungle with purpose, stopping every few hundred meters to examine the terrain, the vegetation, the soil composition. She was mapping, learning, adapting. 2 hours into her grace period, she found water, a stream running through a rocky gorge. She followed it downstream for half a kilometer, then stopped at a bend where the water had carved out a small cave behind a waterfall. Natural concealment. Acoustic dampening from the water. Multiple sightlines. Single point of entry. Clever, muttered Commander Thax, Velkar's second-in-command. He was monitoring the feeds from the command center, along with a dozen other guild members. She's found a defensible position, won't help her, but it shows tactical thinking. Lieutenant Cross wasn't finished though. She spent the next hour setting up what I can only describe as a kill zone. She used rocks to create false paths, branches arranged to funnel movement, even found some of the native flora that secreted irritating spores and positioned them strategically near her cave entrance. Nothing elaborate, nothing high-tech, just simple, effective fieldcraft. She's had training, I observed, recording everything. Doesn't matter, Thax said. Training is useless against superior firepower. The 4 hours elapsed. Time for the hunt to begin. Velkar and his 11 hunters assembled in the deployment bay. They were, without exaggeration, the most dangerous beings I'd ever seen gathered in one place. Species from across the known systems. Evolved predators. Enhanced warriors. Beings who hunted for sport and glory and the simple joy of the kill. They wore full combat armor. Carried enough firepower to level a small city. Had targeting systems that could track a heartbeat from 5 kilometers away. They were in every measurable way the apex predators of the galaxy, and they were hunting one human with 10 bullets and a knife. Huntmaster Velkar addressed his team. Standard search pattern. Quadrant by quadrant. She's in the jungle sector. Found herself a cave. Thinks she's clever. We'll flush her out with the drones first. If she runs, the aerial units will track her. If she fights, well, he smiled, then we all get to share the glory. They deployed. 12 hunters dropping into the arena like angels of death. The crowd in the observation galleries roared approval. Credits changed hands as betting pools opened and closed. Everyone wanted a piece of the action. Everyone except me. Because I was watching Lieutenant Maya Cross on the monitors. And she wasn't acting like prey at all. She was checking her weapon, counting her ammunition, testing the knife's balance, and humming. Actually humming some tune from her homeworld, completely calm, completely focused, like she'd done this before, like she knew exactly what was coming, like those 12 apex predators dropping into the arena weren't hunters at all, they were the hunted, and they had absolutely no idea. The first hunter died 16 minutes after deployment. His name was Krath, a Silurian tracker, 8 limbs, natural thermal imaging, could smell fear pheromones from 3 kilometers away, had 97 confirmed kills in the guild records, veteran of 100 hunts across 50 worlds. He approached Lieutenant Cross's position from the northeast, moving through the jungle canopy with the silence of falling shadows. His armor made him invisible to standard visual tracking. His weapon could punch through 6 inches of reinforced steel. He was, by every metric, the perfect predator. The feeds showed him closing to within 200 meters of her cave, then 150, then 100. He never saw the tripwire. Well, calling it a tripwire is generous. Lieutenant Cross had used vine fiber twisted into cordage, positioned 8 inches off the ground, nearly invisible in the jungle undergrowth. Primitive. Simple. The kind of thing a child could make. Krath's lower left appendage caught it at exactly the wrong angle. The trap itself was elegant in its brutality. She had bent a young tree back under tension, secured it with the cordage, and attached several sharpened branches at center mass height for a Silurian. When the tripwire released, the tree snapped forward like a siege weapon. 3 wooden spikes punched through Krath's armor, at the joints where the plating was thinnest. One through his primary respiratory organ. The force of the impact drove him backwards into a concealed pit. Not deep, maybe 6 feet, but the bottom was lined with more sharpened stakes. Krath's biosigns flatlined in 4 seconds. The command center went completely silent. What just happened? Someone finally asked. She killed Krath, I said, my sensory quills rigid with shock. With sticks and vines. She killed him with sticks and vines. Impossible, Commander Thack said, but his voice cracked on the word. That armor is rated for plasma weapons. Those were wooden spikes. She hit the joints, another observer noted, targeted the weak points with precision. Huntmaster Velkar's roar shook the command center. One lucky trap. Nothing more. All units converge on her position. Flush her out. Now, the remaining 11 hunters adjusted their approach vectors. They moved more cautiously now, scanning for additional traps. But they were angry. Krath had been respected, well liked, and now his body was cooling in a pit filled with sharpened sticks, like some kind of ancient prey animal. The humiliation stung worse than the loss itself. Hunter Vrex and Hunter Toral decided to approach together, safety in numbers. They were Corthanian battle brothers, fought in the expansion wars, survived the siege of Mordant 7. They had energy shields, plasma rifles, and enough combat experience to fill a data archive. They also had ego. We are coming for you, human. Rex broadcasted over open channels, his voice amplified through the arena. Your primitive tricks will not save you. Come out and face us with dignity. Lieutenant Cross's response came exactly 4 seconds later. A single gunshot. The sound echoed through the jungle like thunder. Old-fashioned. Loud. Unmistakably a chemical propellant weapon. Rex's shield flared bright blue as it absorbed the impact of a .357 Magnum round traveling at 1,400 feet per second. The shield held, barely. The impact drained 40% of its charge instantly. Ha! Rex laughed. Is that all you have? Primitive projectiles against military-grade shielding? We will tear you apart for that insult. The second shot came from a completely different angle. That was when I understood. That first shot wasn't meant to kill. It was meant to make them feel safe, to make them think they knew where she was, to make them commit to a direction. The second shot hit Toral in the back of his helmet. At the equipment housing, where the shield generator was mounted, his shield collapsed instantly, and then before either brother could react, Lieutenant Cross was moving. She came out of the jungle like a ghost made of violence. No wasted motion. No hesitation. Pure, efficient, terrifying action. She covered 30 meters in seconds. The knife in her hand caught the sunlight filtering through the canopy. Rex tried to turn, tried to bring his plasma rifle to bear, but she was already inside his reach. The K-bar went up under his helmet seal, through the soft tissue at his throat, and into his brainstem. He dropped like a puppet with cut strings. Toral fired wildly, panic overriding training. Plasma bolts scorched the jungle, ignited trees, vaporized vegetation. None of them came close to hitting her. She had already rolled left, come up in a crouch and put her third round directly through his optical sensor array. The heavy slug punched through the reinforced lens, through the circuitry behind it and into Toral's skull. His weapon clattered to the ground. His body followed a second later. 3 hunters down, 7 rounds left. The command center had descended into chaos. guild members were shouting. Fax was frantically reviewing the footage. Velkar was screaming orders into his communicator. "She is using our technology against us," he roared. "Stay out of close range. Use long-distance engagement. Air support, where is my air support?" "Deploying now, Huntmaster." 2 aerial drones screamed into the jungle sector. Equipped with thermal imaging, motion tracking, and enough ordnance to level a city block. They had her position locked from the engagement with Rex and Toral. The drones opened fire. Missiles, energy beams, the whole devastating arsenal. They destroyed an empty stretch of jungle. Lieutenant Cross had moved the instant Toral fell. She was already 300 meters away, using the terrain, the vegetation and the natural depressions in the landscape to mask her thermal signature. She moved like water, like smoke, like something that had learned to disappear long before these hunters had learned to kill. "Where is she?" Velkar demanded. "Find her. Track her. Someone give me a visual." "Thermal is scattered. Too much interference from the fires." "Then use motion tracking." "She is not moving, Huntmaster, or moving so slowly our senses cannot differentiate her from natural animal activity." I was updating my records in real time, trying to process what I was witnessing. This was supposed to be a hunt, a spectacle, entertainment for the masses. Instead, it was turning into a tactical masterclass in asymmetric warfare. Lieutenant Maya Cross was not running. She was not hiding. She was hunting. Hunter Kell found her next. Or rather, she let Kell find her. He was a Victorian sniper, could hit targets at 2 kilometers with 98% accuracy. His weapon used magnetically accelerated projectiles that could punch through starship hulls. He set up in a rocky outcropping overlooking a valley. Perfect sightlines, natural cover, elevated position, everything a sniper could want. He never considered that she might know he would choose that position, that she might have scouted it during her grace period, that she might have prepared for exactly this scenario. The recording showed Kell settling into position, scanning the valley below, searching for any sign of movement. His rifle was trained on a game trail, exactly where predictive algorithms suggested the human would flee. What he did not see was Lieutenant Cross climbing the cliff face behind him. No equipment, no harness, just fingers and toes finding purchase in the rock, moving with the confidence of someone who had done this type of climb 1,000 times. She crested the outcropping in complete silence. Kell's first indication something was wrong came when her knife appeared in front of his throat. "Boo," she whispered. Then she opened his jugular with one smooth pull. Kell tried to turn, tried to fire, tried to do anything. But she had already severed the major blood vessel. He had maybe 30 seconds of consciousness left. She used 15 of those seconds to take his rifle, check the charge, and nod appreciatively. "Nice weapon," she told his dying body. "Thanks for the donation." She left him bleeding out on the rocks and took his position. Now she had elevation. Now she had a military-grade weapon with significantly better range than her revolver. Now the game had changed again. The remaining 8 hunters were regrouping. Even through the feeds I could see their body language shift. The confidence had evaporated. The swagger was gone. They were starting to understand what I had realized an hour ago. They were not hunting a human. A human was hunting them. Huntmaster Velkar made his decision. No more individual approaches. We move as a unit. Overwhelming force. She cannot stand against all of us together. Huntmaster, that is against guild tradition. The glory of the kill. Forget glory. Velkar's crest was fully flattened now. A sign of genuine fear among his species. I want that human dead. Now, all hunters converge on my position. We end this. The 8 remaining hunters formed up. It was actually sound tactics. 8 of the galaxy's most dangerous predators moving together, covering all angles, supporting each other. Against conventional prey it would have been unstoppable. But Lieutenant Maya Cross was not conventional prey. She watched them through Kell's rifle scope. I watched her watching them through the camera drones. Her amber eyes were calm, calculating. She was counting them, assessing their formation, looking for weaknesses. Then she smiled and opened fire. Kell's rifle fired magnetically accelerated rounds at hypersonic velocities. No recoil, No sound except a faint electric hum, and in the hands of someone who knew how to use it, absolutely devastating. Her first shot hit Hunter Pilax in the helmet. The round penetrated his faceplate, scrambled his brain, and exited through the back of his skull hard enough to damage the hunter behind him. Her second shot took Hunter Vren through the chest plate. The round punched through armor that was rated to stop anti-vehicle weapons. Her third shot destroyed Hunter Thex's weapon just as he was bringing it to bear. The rifle exploded in his hands, taking most of his appendages with it. 3 shots, 3 seconds, 3 more hunters down or disabled, the remaining 5 scattered. All that tactical formation discipline evaporated in the face of precision fire from an elevated position. They ran for cover, abandoning their wounded, focused entirely on survival. Huntmaster Velkar was screaming incoherently now. The command center was in complete pandemonium. Credits were hemorrhaging as betting pools collapsed. Subscribers were flooding the channels with disbelief and demands for refunds. This was not entertainment. This was a massacre, and Lieutenant Maya Cross was not finished. She abandoned her sniper position and moved again, always moving, never staying in one place long enough for them to coordinate a response. She was in the jungle, then the mountains, then the swamp, using the terrain like a weapon, using their own technology against them. Hunter Grath died to his own plasma grenade. She had somehow reverse-engineered the arming mechanism from Toral's equipment and set up a pressure trigger. When Grath pursued her into the swamp, he stepped on the trigger and vaporized himself. Hunter Krell, no relation to me, thank the Void, died when she lured him into the mountain section and triggered a rock slide. Just like Krath's trap, primitive, simple, devastatingly effective. Commander Thax tried to pull back, tried to retreat to the extraction point. She tracked him through the jungle using sounds alone. Put her 4th bullet through his spine at 100 meters with just the revolver and iron sights. Now only 3 remained. Huntmaster Velkar and 2 others, whose names I did not even bother recording because I knew they would not survive the next hour. Velkar was broadcasting now, not to the hunters, to Lieutenant Cross directly. Enough! His voice cracked with fear badly disguised as rage. We yield. You have won. The hunt is over. Return to the extraction point and you will be released with full honors. The response came from behind him. No. Velkar spun, bringing his weapon up, but Lieutenant Maya Cross was already inside his guard. She had dropped the rifle somewhere, had returned to basics, just the knife and her last 3 rounds. The knife took the first hunter through the eye socket. Fast, clinical, over in a heartbeat. The second hunter managed to fire. The plasma bolt scorched past her shoulder close enough that I could see the burn on the camera feed. Her counter was a bullet through his throat at point-blank range. Now it was just Velkar and Lieutenant Cross in a jungle clearing. The Huntmaster and the human, predator and prey. Except nobody could say any more which was which. You cannot kill me, Velkar said, and he actually believed it. I am Huntmaster of Vrax Prime. I have killed hundreds. You are just one human. One. Yeah. Lieutenant Cross agreed, circling him slowly. Knife in one hand, revolver in the other. Just one human. That was your mistake. What mistake? You are prey. Soft. Weak. We are persistence hunters, she said calmly, like she was explaining basic biology to a child. Back on Earth, before we had weapons, before we had technology, we hunted by just following our prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. We didn't need to be faster. We didn't need to be stronger. We just needed to keep going. To adapt, to survive. That is what humans do, Velkar. We survive. She lunged. He fired. The plasma bolt went wide. She was already past his arc of fire, inside his reach, and the knife found the gap in his armor under his arm. Velkar roared, tried to grab her, tried to crush her with his superior strength. She put her 8th round through his knee. He collapsed. She stepped back, watched him try to rise, fail, try again. Your species hunts for sport, she said, for glory, for entertainment. My species hunts to survive, and we have gotten very, very good at it over the last 200,000 years. Please, Velkar whispered, the mighty Huntmaster, reduced to begging. Please, I yield. mercy. Lieutenant Maya Cross considered this, tilted her head, seemed to genuinely think about it. You know what, she said finally. Sure, I will show you the same mercy you showed every being you brought to this arena. She put her 9th round between his eyes. The command center was dead silent. Every being present was staring at the screens in complete shock. The mighty hunting guild of Vrax Prime, the organization that had never lost a trophy in 3,000 cycles, had just been systematically dismantled by one human with 10 rounds and a knife. Well, 9 rounds. She still had one left. Lieutenant Cross walked to the extraction point, looked up at the camera drone still filming everything. Junior Archivist Krell, she said, somehow knowing exactly which camera to address. You still recording? Yes. I managed to croak. Good. Make sure this gets distributed. Every system, every species, every being that thinks humans are easy prey. Show them what happened here today. Show them that we do not hunt for sport. We do not kill for glory. But if you hunt us, if you cage us, if you bring us to your arenas and think we will die quietly, she smiled. That same predatory smile. We will show you why we became the apex predators on a death world, and it will be the last mistake you ever make. She held up her revolver, showed the camera the cylinder with 1 round remaining. This last one? She said. This one is for anyone stupid enough to try this again. Then she fired it straight up into the air. The sound echoed across the arena. A declaration, a promise, a warning. The feed cut. Emergency protocols activated. Guild security flooded the arena. They found Lieutenant Maya Cross sitting calmly at the extraction point, weapon empty, knife sheathed, waiting patiently for retrieval. The legal aftermath took weeks. The guild tried to press charges, tried to claim she had violated hunting protocols, but the recordings were clear. She had followed every rule, used only what was provided, stayed within the boundaries, fought only in self-defense. The Galactic Council reviewed the case, fined the guild 17 million credits, ordered them to cease all hunts involving sentient beings, formally apologized to humanity. Lieutenant Maya Cross received a full pardon and transportation back to Earth. The last I heard, she had been promoted, given medals, become something of a legend among her people. As for me, I was promoted to senior archivist for my thorough documentation. My recording of the hunt became required viewing at military academies across 23 systems, a case study in asymmetric warfare, a lesson in never underestimating your opponent. But mostly, it became a warning. The humans are not prey, they never were, and the guild learned that lesson in the most permanent way possible. All it took was 10 rounds and a knife. Well, 9 rounds. That last one was just to make a point.